All right, Mr. Chairman, the time is now 12:03. We do have a quorum, so we can get started with the meeting today.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. Good to see all of you here. I'm going to call to order the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting for Thursday, March 16th, and we'll call roll. Jason Alberici. Here. Phil Cranmer.
Here.
Morgan Van Gelder.
Here.
Scott. Here. And others missing. Okay, we will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I know we've got the agenda in front of us, and I have been asked to consider making a modest amendment to it to move a couple items. And that is to move
8A and 8B.
8A and 8B to the top of the list for our presenters in the audience. So if everybody was okay with that, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to move new business 8A and 8B to the top of the agenda before program reports.
Motion by Jason,
Second.
second by Phil. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. In front of you are the minutes of the January 19th meeting. So well prepared by staff. No, Tom had sent them out. Anybody has any questions? Otherwise, we'd entertain a motion to approve the January meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the January 19th meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Motion by Phil, second by Jason. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And we will update the minutes to note that Allison has joined us today. Welcome. Thank you. Glad to have you here.
Here.
Next item is public comment. Tom is our.
Mr. Chairman, we do not have any public comment that's been submitted, and there is no one in attendance.
Okay. So there is no public comment today. So we will move on to new business item 8A. Discussion on the 2023 grant application with DNR.
Just a moment while I pull up this presentation. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. This item is we're looking to potentially apply for another grant through DNR, the Land Water Conservation Fund grant. And that grant is intended to essentially support, parks in almost any facet. It has to encompass the entire property that you own. So if you're looking to do trails or a ball field, it has to be all within the same parcel of land. But there's very little that doesn't necessarily qualify for what you can do with one of these grants. And I have some examples and some kind of a layout of what is an acceptable project in a future slide. I believe the next one. But just with some history here, we have achieved and gotten this grant a few times. The fishing pier, the ADA trail, and the restrooms, those were three separate grants. They were not all together as one. We had three different grant cycles that we applied for those three grants and received them. DNR has been a great partner to work with over these grant cycles, especially when the transition happened from a previous director to myself. There was a lot of picking up the pieces that needed to be done. Not that anything was done wrong prior, but I had no grant experience, and they helped me right along the way, and we're in good shape on all three of those grants. In fact, we're on the financial side, we're closing out the restrooms, but as far as the project's concerned, it's done. They've even done their final walkthrough and already approved it. So that was a previous staff update in January.
Awesome.
So there's a lot of words on this slide. I'm not going to sit here and read this whole thing. But essentially, there are three different types of projects that the DNR would accept as a grant application. It opens on April 1st and will conclude on May 31st. I'm here now to get some input and potentially a motion to, proceed moving forward with a proposed project that I have kind of put together here. We have acquisitions, so you can do land acquisition as part of this. It's kind of strange because you can't do any funding until fall of 2024. So you'd have to have someone kind of in the hopper. Yeah, sure, I'll sell it to you in a year and a half. And then there's developments that'd be like creating a new park from scratch from raw land, and then renovation rehab projects. And that's, like taking an existing park and maybe updating or making some modifications to it. And that would include, anything that's listed here. There's $14 million that are available in these two grant cycles. There's a 2022 and a 2023, and then they're awarding all the money at the end. It requires a 1-to-1 match, so up to 500,000 on their match on their side. So if it's 1.5 million, they'll still do 500,000, but then the rest is on the city. If the project ends up coming in at 800, then they'll do 400. The city matches 400. And like I mentioned before, and it's really kind of a big deal, any cost incurred prior to the award of the grant in the fall, anything that is done prior to that, even outside of land acquisition, would not qualify as a reimbursable expense. So you really can't start until 2024. Yeah. Staff met a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and we kind of kicked around ideas. What would be a good opportunity for us to jump on and go for with this round of grant applications? We kicked around things such as dog parks, more trails, things like that. But with the former Milton Country Club master plan at the Milton City Park and Preserve, now recently renamed, we already have public support. We already have a master plan document, something to guide us. It makes for a real strong application when you have that, rather than, oh yeah, Tom McElveen and Matthew Graney really like this idea of doing this new trail. When you have the public support in a document, it makes for a very good application. It's worked in the past. All this Providence Park grants had a master plan tied to them. So what I'm looking to do with this grant is doing the concept B, which is in the master plan for the active side, and it includes the additional 2 tennis courts, the viewing pavilion for the tennis courts. It has a sand volleyball court and all-inclusive playground in there, and then it addresses the parking lot. And while a master plan is a great guiding document, it really is just a guide, right? It shows you what you can do. It doesn't mean you have to actually create this exact, like when you're done, the aerial shot doesn't have to look exactly like this, right? It just gives us some guidance. So while pickleball courts are mentioned in the master plan, I'm proposing, and I'd love the input from Mr. O'Brien at some point when we get to that point after I'm done with my presentation. I'm looking at potentially doing 6 pickleball courts that are detached from the tennis courts, so there isn't any sort of fight over the tennis courts, because I know pickleball folks are very eager to always get on those courts, and they're hard to find. And I'm looking to not have this fight over court space. So I'd like to add, I'd like to go for 6 additional pickleball courts. And the next slide has a more blown up picture of that center in the bottom picture, that small aerial shot. And I'll show you where we probably have plenty of room to add a little bit more amenities on the park. So here's the property layout in an aerial shot versus what the master plan has. And as you can see, that I have the parcel on there, and there's plenty of room to the north of those tennis courts. Now it does grade up towards the road. So we're looking at probably creating a wall, pushing it in and then walling it off on the backside. But I think we can get essentially a 4 quadrant, 4 courts, and then one of those 4 being pickleball. And you can get 6 pickleball courts in the same square footage as 2 tennis courts. We'd also be addressing the LED lights or the light system out at the tennis courts, switching over to LED. We're going to have to completely redo the tennis courts. And another reason why this was a great project, and I should have mentioned earlier, is because we did the grant to resurface them. And we had a timeline of where we weren't allowed to touch those courts. And it ends in the fall of 2024. So I couldn't even put pickleball lines on those tennis courts as just another option because it was a USTA grant and USTA promotes tennis. And so it's strictly in the grant, no pickleball courts or any other lines except for tennis for youth and adult on the tennis courts. So once that USTA grant runs up, not only we can adjust and move those courts. The base of those courts, and Terry can also probably testify to this, they are extremely old, the asphalt base. And the last resurfacing we had done, the company who's very reputable mentioned this is going to be your last resurfacing you can do. You're going to need to go down to the dirt and start over on your next round. So all things are lining up to this is probably the perfect time to do this. And move into this phase of the master plan. Now that I mentioned that the sand volleyball courts aren't necessarily going to be recommended by staff. It certainly could be inserted if that's something that we think is a need. And the other thing that I left off was the addition to the community center. We just redid it, and I don't see the need to continue. If we should have done it the first time if we really wanted to do more. So that's essentially what we're looking at here with this property and this grant. Here's a breakdown of costs. They're rough estimates at this point. Once I get the green light here, I'll move forward with kind of some more deep dives. But I have talked with tennis court installers. I did get with Public Works on what their estimate for the parking lot might be, and this is what it all lays out to be. It's a little over $1 million, which is. I think it's going to be every bit of 1.2 to 1.4 at the end of the day. But with the grant covering, $500,000 of it, I think that helps. So I'd like to get your thoughts now on what you think of this as a potential program or a potential grant application. And then, I'll go into next steps after we kind of just talk about, just thoughts of the project in general and, any agreement, disagreement, or do we want to bring Terry up? We could do any of the above.
Questions for Tom?
First of all, I think it's a great idea.
I do too.
And the fact that you can get half of it subsidized by the state, that's a home run. I would like to hear from Terry with regards to pickleball. Is 6 courts the right number? Is it too many, too few? And is 2 tennis courts enough or not enough?
Well, I'm pretty biased on that opinion, but just to go back to start with what Tom said, agree with everything. The timing's perfect because the courts I've been there 27 years myself. The courts are 28 years. And when they laid them, the drainage system on that wasn't properly done. So they'll constantly crack. There's already cracks now from when we resurfaced it. What was that, 2 years ago? Or was that 3? So it's time. So you would just keep putting a Band-Aid on resurfacing and it's actually hazardous now because when it rains, it has a film on it because it doesn't drain properly. So it's actually kind of dangerous. I have to constantly clean them because you just can't get them dry with the moisture and the mold creating on them. So that's actually would be perfect timing. Tennis, as you know, in Milton and Alpharetta is very popular. It's actually, we have more registered tennis players in Milton and Alpharetta than the city of Atlanta.
Wow.
So, with all the tennis teams, the high schools, Cambridge, Milton are always top 2 in the state. My program's full on 4 courts. I have the largest tennis program in the state of Georgia on a 4-court facility. That's been like that for 27 years. I've had that. So it's not a problem to find tennis players. I actually turned them down. Recently, White Columns and the Manor have changed enforced their policy where you either have to become a strict member to join. You can't just play like on an Elta team casually and because the members got really mad that they were not paying as much as, I mean, they were paying way more than just someone coming to play. So I'm getting just floods of people coming from them because they don't have a place to go. They're Milton residents, but they don't live at the Manor or the White Columns and they can't play there. So they're looking to play. So I am maxed out on my teams. I'm sure Tom has mentioned that a few times. So I actually turned Milton residents down for tennis. You know, with just an additional 2 courts, I could actually double my teams and my ability to host a match with court availability to host that. And ELTA restricts that too. So I can't, if I don't have 2 courts available, I can't have a home match. So that's why I can't just like schedule at different times. It has to be at an exact time. So, you know, it's kind of sad because I do lose a lot of players over the years, but I've kind of gotten used to it. And to say, you know, call Crooked Creek. A lot of people, you know, are upset because they live like right next to the club, but you know, they can't get in. So it's, you know, 2 courts, perfect for me. Like I said, with 6, but they would have to be tennis courts. They can't be convertible pickleball to tennis because there's additional lines there. So people can actually choose not to play if you're on a league, if they have the pickleball courts, because it can be confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But you could have like 2 additional courts and like Tom was saying, like a sports court, you know, like a convertible courts too. And I think that's great. But, you know, pickleball's popular now, especially, you know, Alpharetta North Park. I drive by there a lot and it's always pretty busy over there. So I think that wouldn't be a problem creating a whole pickleball scene to start happening. But I mean, the way it is now, so many people are more using the club because they'll come drop their kids off, use the trails, use the club, the bathrooms. We don't have porta potties anymore, so they're all, you know, it's like it's always busy there now. So it's not like you have to like think that we would have to get customers or people to use it. It'll be used. It'll be busy. So the other thing is like a lot of times when people, you know, come, you know, ask me or email and, you know, once they're gone, it's hard to get them back, you know, so once they start going to Crooked Creek, they get used to that. So it'd be nice if I could just say, you know, and before I said, well, it's the thought of having 2 more courts and I can create a team. So when someone says, I want to play on a C team, well, I don't have a C team. Well, they're gone. Well, now I can maybe get a C team in, you know, fall of 24, and I can start making a list and creating, you know, potential for residents to be happy. So, but I appreciate all this. And I remember sitting there with, I can't remember, who was the old city manager?
Lagerbloom?
What's that?
Chris Lagerbloom?
No,
Steve Krokoff.
Steve. No, the one before that. I can't remember. But we were sitting by the pool and he was thinking, you know, why do we need the city of Milton to have swim and tennis? We should just, you know, we just basically, you know, plow this down and make it trails. And I said, you know, at the time I was convincing him that, you know, Alpharetta was the host of tennis, and because we had that joint deal with them, I said, if you ever break this, you're creating a community where the Milton residents really, you know, with the swim and the tennis and the trails all being together. And now if you have pickleball, it's like, you know, the Milton Community Center. It's like, it's going to be really cool. I think it's like, I've been kind of seeing this for years, and I think it's just like, it's a slam dunk. So that's it.
Can I ask a question about the, I think I saw it in the previous slide, about the observation tower, deck, whatever we would call that?
Yeah.
Am I correct in saying that would not be a part of this grant?
I would loop it in there.
Oh, you would leave it in there?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I don't see on the schematic where it would potentially
On
sit.
this one, it's right here.
Now
I
I
don't-
do
you
see
can
it.
see my mouse, right?
It's there,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
All right,
Some sort of shape of a,
sure.
like a, where the
People could
the
sit
folks
there.
that aren't playing and they're
Right.
watching their team, they put their food on the,
Mhm.
it's like a deck,
Yep.
right? That's
Yeah.
what we're looking at doing, something that's covered to keep you in the shade.
Yeah.
Over there. But it might go somewhere else on the site, but that's
Sure.
where it is in this master plan.
Yep.
They have
Great,
them
thanks.
now, but it's just basically a little
A little
tent
canopy.
A sunshade with a
Mhm.
bleacher
Yeah.
underneath.
Yeah.
Sure.
Other questions?
Tom, my only thing is just the ratio of courts to dedicated pickleball. Again, I don't know what the right number is, just depending on the demand and whatever available space, whether it's 4 pickleball or 2 dedicated pickleball and maybe some hybrid where they're double lined, so it could be tennis or pickle, whatever that ratio is. I just don't know what it is. Let's just be mindful of that based on what demands and the needs the tennis team has,
Mhm.
but still making sure we got pickleball capacity, right? So that's all.
I feel 6 months into a pickleball operation happening, you could have 15 or 20 courts and they'd be used. Like
Yep.
Yes.
North Park is bursting at the seams. In fact, they're
On
doubling.
pickleball?
Yeah.
They're doubling this fall. They're
Really?
doubling their
Pickle's
courts.
about to blow up. I mean, it's
It
going to
already
get
has.
big. Yeah.
There are
15
people
courts.
in private businesses that are buying
Down in Roswell.
warehouses
Yeah.
and turning them into indoor pickleball
Guys
places.
don't
You go
sell
and rent.
Pickleball's in.
Yeah.
Really?
Some of them are restaurants with pickleball. Did you see it in the paper?
Mm-hmm.
There was one's called Chicken and Pickle. So it's a restaurant and pickleball.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's
It's
fun.
crazy. Yeah, you build it, they'll come.
Yeah.
Terry won't be.
Terry,
sad.
we're getting rid of all the tennis courts and we're going pickleball? Just kidding.
No.
Just kidding, just kidding.
So to piggyback on that, my only thought was, my thought, is there other space back there that you could fit in more in that room, right? Like still go with 2 more tennis courts and then the 6 dedicated.
That's what I'm looking at doing.
Can we squeeze in 8 courts, pickleball courts or something?
We
You
can
know,
do as much as we
Is,
can. I mean,
yeah,
it depends on what the topo can handle.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What becomes.
That would be ideal. I think you're right. Like add some
Yeah.
tennis only and then separate location of pickle.
As you
That's
start,
what I'm talking about doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
That
just
would be
saying,
great.
my only thought would be is,
Yeah,
Six
we would have
seems like
like
it
a
would
whole
go
nother,
quickly.
there's 3 sections of tennis courts here. There would
Mm.
be I'm adding another one. That would be for
Mm.
pickleball. And then these convertible pickleball tennis / pickleballs will go away. We'll have dedicated tennis.
Right.
And then that would be 6 courts and then a separate dedicated area for pickleball.
Right.
So then does parking become another issue?
Parking is always an issue.
not gonna be.
Always.
We're looking, when I met with Public Works actually this morning,
Mhm.
we talked about having potentially even getting rid of this driveway here, moving it over here for better visibility. And I just
Mhm. I'm with you.
went the wrong way. Hold on. And then, I mean, the property line goes all the way out here. So we
Mhm.
could expand a little bit that way.
Mhm.
And this is all no man's land right now because it was the cart drop off for golf. So we could go over into the southwest corner here
You could
and
pick up some
we
spots.
could get rid of some of those islands if you had to.
Mhm.
There's plenty of opportunity to
Yeah,
get more
there's a lot
parking
of
spaces.
parking.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you see where the courts are towards, and then go north of there towards Dinsmore, there's a
Mhm.
lot of room back there
Yes.
to push back. It is on an incline, so
It go-
it
yeah.
need,
Needs some
additional
grading.
grading, whatever, but there is some space there, and that's like never been used because
Yeah.
it's just trees right now.
So when you go to spec, if this is the project that goes forward and you go to spec it, then you can get really granular on.
It would, yeah,
Moving
it would be it would have a design firm that
Right,
puts it
right.
together for us and gives us maybe a few different options to choose from.
Tom, before you guys brought us this idea, option B at the Preserve, what did you say no to that was on your list?
We kicked around, let's see, dog parks. That was the other real big one. And I don't know if a dog park's going to be substantial enough. And I don't know if we have the public. I mean, of course we have support for a dog park.
Yeah, there's
but we
support.
don't have it in a document outside the master plan just
Correct.
saying, yeah, a dog park would be great, but so would more tennis courts.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, we talked about tennis courts for a long time. This is really a nice fit.
That was really the only other real big project that we discussed that day. Was there anything else, Thomas, that you can remember?
They originally wanted to do horses, but that got nixed, remember?
For what?
I think it got nixed as to have the public around the horses.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
that
I remember
spot?
that. I do remember. There,
Oh, at the Park and Preserve Trail.
yeah, there was talk about horse trails. Yeah, that was a.
The only other question I would have, and I don't know if it gets into the active versus passive, is back on some of that trail areas, there disc golf. Does that make it active? It does?
That's been the discussion. Yeah.
Okay.
We've talked about that too.
So that would be the
Not
only,
not for this, but it's been a discussion.
yeah, so that makes it
And,
active
and,
land.
it,
if
and it
it-
becomes a little bit too active. And
Got
not to
it.
mention,
So that would
you
take
got
that
kids
off.
and families walking on that trail and then a disc golf coming flying around.
Yeah. So, okay,
But yes, it has been discussed.
got it. I love it. I think it's a great idea.
So
What-
you,
Good.
you need a motion for us to approve your going forward on the Park and Preserve Plan B as your, or option B as your grant target?
Yes. So our next step would be to, I would present to council. I'm shooting for April 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And in that presentation, it would be a resolution supporting and council supporting and backing the funding for such application. So they need the DNR sees that council has approved and it says, yeah, we got the money. We're good with funding this as
Yep.
well. So that would be our next step. And then from there, we'll have an application put in by May 31st.
I liked it. Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to move forward with the grant application with the DNR using Plan B.
I'll second.
Second motion by Morgan, second by Phil. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? So moved. Great job, Tom, staff.
Yes.
Thomas,
Thank you.
have at it. Next up, item 8B, discussion of the city green space plan and possible recreational uses. Passive to be priority. Hold that.
Thought I double clicked it, but
Boom.
on the bottom right.
Heard it.
Good afternoon, PRAB. I think I know some of you.
Welcome back,
Welcome
Emily.
back.
Nice to see you guys again. For those of you I haven't met yet, I'm Emily Groth, the Environmental Program Manager. I started here in the Parks and Rec Department, but last year I moved over to Public Works to focus a little bit more on sustainable initiatives and green space projects. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about this afternoon. So I wanted to introduce a big project that comes from our city strategic plan that calls for a citywide green space plan. So this afternoon, I'm going to go over a little history to bring you guys up to speed. I'm sure you're pretty familiar, but I just wanted to get us all on the same page about where we've been and where we are and where we want to go. So we'll go over the history of the bond, our current acquisitions, the status of all of our green space properties, and the proposed project that comes from our strategic plan, the green print, or a citywide green space plan. So back in 2016, 80% of voters approved $20 million in bonds to acquire conservation land for these purposes listed here that were directly listed in the bond language. So this was really the guiding light for the voter approval. Recreational trails, natural areas and wildlife habitat, agricultural land, water quality, and possible park and park improvements. Once that passed in 2016, the Green Space Advisory Committee was established shortly thereafter. And since then, we've spent 20 million out of the 25 through 8 purchases, totaling 6 properties and more than 400 acres. And 3 of them are opened or partially opened. So here's a map just for reference. So these are the 8 purchases, 8 acquisitions. Some of them were purchased right next to each other. So that's kind of how you get 8 purchases to 6 properties. Here would be an example. These were 2 separate purchases, but it now encompasses the Cooper Sandy property, as well as here the Country Club and Kennedy. They're directly adjacent. And direct adjacency is and always has been a criteria for evaluation through the Green Space Committee on whether they wanted to pursue a certain acquisition or not. So it always gave it a couple more points if you could purchase them right next to each other. So our open properties that you guys are probably familiar with is the Freemanville-Birmingham pasture at the intersection of Freemanville-Birmingham, Lackey Road, the first tier of Lackey Road that came to us from the Trail Prioritization Plan, and the first phase of the Milton City Park and Preserve that came to us from that property's master plan. Some closed properties include Hamby Road, which is down here. It's got this expansive view frontage right here, as well as some mixed vegetation on the other side, so it's a little bit of both. Webb Road is up here. It's on Webb Road. It's really small, about 4 acres, kind of down the road from Vitality. And Cooper Sandy is at the intersection of Providence and Bethany, and that's a picture here. It has its own lake and some natural azaleas right here. So the reason for this is coming from our strategic plan, and we've identified that it should speak to appropriate usage management, any possible improvements, while also respecting rural heritage and sustainable best practices. So these key elements kind of come from the evaluation criteria that the Green Space Committee has always kept in mind when they pursued any acquisitions, were any future improvements, any appropriate use or special considerations, any possible environmental protection measures, and prioritization of these properties and how we want to implement the plan. And so with those key elements, we've identified additional key stakeholders. So this plan will be staff-driven. It won't be a consultant-based. We'll rely a lot on our committees, staff, and the public, as well as ongoing updates with City Council. So our approach here comes from these stakeholders. So we've identified you guys as a committee, as well as the Equestrian Committee, Trails Committee, some possible Planning Commission involvement, as well as the Green Space Committee, kind of at the helm of it, bringing their background and knowledge since 2016. Additionally, property neighbors will be able to provide some specific input living directly adjacent to these properties. And so with them, we're planning to reach out and offer an opportunity for specific input on what it's been like living next to these properties, positive or negative experiences, anything that they can tell us that we might not know. Additionally, the general public, who are always welcome at these committee meetings, but later in this planning process, we'll also have the opportunity for public input, as well as ongoing updates from City Council. So our proposed timeline, putting the lens of analysis, all these elements and the stakeholders together, you're looking at where we are right now with specific stakeholders that we've identified, the committees and the direct neighbors. We'll gather initial input. I'll take it back to the Green Space Committee, kind of condense what everyone has said, open it up to the public, and kind of keeping things parallel as we condense, hopefully, into some draft recommendations this summer with adoption this fall. And so I'm here to introduce this project to you guys and also gauge your level of input. So our approach here with these various committees is to ask tailored and specific questions based on your committee expertise. We've kind of ran into the issue that it'd be hard to ask for a various group of people the same question to be able to condense wildly different answers. So we've gotten tailored input questions for each committee that I'm going to take back to the Green Space Committee to kind of provide some oversight. And that's kind of where the first phase that we are now. So with you guys, we were considering that conversation that Jason, you had brought up about disc golf and, you know, what activities are passive, what is passive, what's the line between passive and active. So it kind of falls in line with any possible active improvements and what that could look like on green space properties. So right now we are opening up to kind of high-level oversight info that I'm asking you guys for. So that will be in the form of a survey compliant with Open Meetings Act. So it'll look like I'll send you kind of a packet of resources to analyze all of our properties. Some of them you've probably been on, some of them you haven't. And so I want you to take your expertise as PRAB, as well as any possible resources that I can give you to kind of provide this initial high-level input. And that would basically be looking at these two things, what you consider any possible passive improvements, while keeping in mind what the difference is between passive and active, and speaking to that bond language that was originally approved. So that would kind of look like any consideration of specific activities, as well as at a higher level property feasibility based on things like soil conditions, any water features, the topography, tree cover, and location within Milton and the surrounding area. So considering all those things, taking your input from PRAB and kind of marrying those two things together. So I'll provide a packet of resources for analysis. You'll get a direct survey that you can send directly back to me. So we don't need to kind of worry about any considerations with the quorum or things like that. That's where I've started with the Green Space Committee. So it mitigates that. And it allows me to have your answers hard copy on paper rather than an interpretation of minutes. And it gives you time to really sit down and think. So that's kind of what is going to be coming to you next. Some resources, survey questions, and with it being staff driven, I'll take all that, take it to Green Space Committee, and I think that will be the first reconsideration point on how we move forward after we've given a similar opportunity to these other committees, is kind of where we're at now. I'm open to any questions.
Emily, thanks for sharing. I know you saw a little bit of this at council last month, but do you have timing for us? Like what you're expected to send to us and when do you want it back? Kind of ballparkish?
I think definitely by the end of this month. We're mid-month now, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I've got Trails Committee meeting next week. So I'm hoping to have a Green Space Committee next month. So by that committee meeting next month, I'd hope to have at least the initial input from all the committees.
Yeah, I would encourage you to try and do it this month because next month, first week will be spring break and we'll
Right.
lose everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So we're at the initial kind of input gathering and condense your knowledge and expertise, and I'll take it to MGAC.
Great.
So you can kind of be expecting that from me, and you can reach out with any questions.
Other questions for Emily? That's awesome.
Good. That's great.
Thanks, Emily.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Emily. Okay, Tom, back to agenda. We're not item 6, recreation programming reports. We got a lot of things underway.
A lot of bouncing around today.
It's all right.
All right, there we go.
Oh, I like that. Do you want to just chunk through reports?
Yep.
I don't have anything spectacular to share. I know that Juan has some interest in improvements to the park that he wants to share with us at some point. I think moving our meeting probably, he wanted to come last month. We didn't have a meeting, so we'll probably see him next month. But otherwise, they're off to the races in baseball. Do we know what the registration was, Thomas?
I don't have numbers
Yeah.
yet for spring.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not exact, but I anticipate over 1,000.
Yeah. That's what I heard. So that's awesome. Next up, boys and girls lacrosse.
On the boys' side, all is going well. Season's off and going for both the select programs and the rec programs. No issues to report as of yet on either side. Girls is off and up and going as well. A little bit behind where some of the select are, but it's going, and again, nothing from that has come across as an issue.
Great.
I don't know, Elson, if you have.
Yeah, I don't really have any more to add. It's going well. Aside from just being excited about getting Cox Road parking lot squared away. Or Legacy, excuse me. But no, it's going well. It's all good.
Good to hear. Without Stephanie, Thomas, you Tom, you got anything to share on football or quiet season? Nothing to worry about.
The only thing I can report is that registration's open for the fall.
Yes.
And they had a lot of kids register in the first 48 hours. I forgot the number. We saw them walking down the street. I think he said it was like 150 kids in the first 2 days.
Wow.
So registration was strong early, but I have not heard anything since then. And that was a week and a half ago.
Awesome. Okay. Halftime sports, Morgan.
Jason.
Halftime.
Oh, Jason, sorry. I'm looking at one thing. And
Yep. The winter season finished up February 20 or 8, 20 something there. It all went well. I talked to Kim maybe the week after or so. So he was pleased. Things went well, pretty smoothly. No major issues for him.
Turn up for summer.
Gearing up for the summer.
My little one's team won the all girls. The first year we did all girls, right, for second, third grade, and they won. They took the ship. It was good though. It was really great having all girls this year. It's a nice addition for sure.
okay, awesome there. Swim team.
Yeah. Swim is open. There are a couple Van Gelder kids on the swim team this year, which is exciting. And it looks like it's going really well. They have swimsuit try-ons and things like that coming up. And they are doing it in a very orderly, organized fashion. And all of those things are already like those, you got to catch those spots because they were filling up fast. So, and as a matter of fact, they've already filled out their girls 9-10 division is already full. So
Nice.
it's doing,
March.
I know. So praying for warmer weather just so the pool heats up a little bit. But and then that will start right at the middle of May.
That's awesome. Yeah, the swim team is always fun early.
Yeah.
Let's move to tennis.
I don't have a report on tennis. However, Terry
Hey,
is
Terry, give us a report.
Elta kicked off this morning, my Elta ladies, so that was a pretty exciting day. All like I said, all my ladies. I have 4 ladies teams, 2 on Thursdays, 2 on Sundays, and that's the amount I'm maxed out on. And all the teams are full. They're excited, especially about the clubhouse now because last year we were messing with the bathrooms, and so it's a big load off to have the clubhouse looking the way it does now. I have other good news. My 18U USTA summer boys and girls teams qualified for state championships, and it's happened 2 other times in 27 years. So it's
Wow.
a big deal.
It's awesome.
And that happens. We just finished, we got lost in the Final 4, but they take 3 teams from the city of Atlanta and 5 teams from the rest of the state of Georgia. And they go to Macon at the end of July. And it's like a 3-night deal where you play like a tournament. And so if you finish in the final 2, then you go to regional. So it's a big deal. All the parents are excited, and we're already booking rooms. So it's a really great accomplishment. So that was great.
It'll be nice and cool in Macon in July.
I think they do it because of availability, because no one on earth would go to Macon in end of July. So
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Congrats to them. Arts programming and adult program, Philip.
My update is Thomas, thank you for getting the points of contact out. I did make contact with all of them. 3 of the, I think the 4 or 5 responded and are just appreciative of having a point of contact within the PRAB. So that's good. So
Great.
that relationship building is just starting. Beyond that, I don't have any other detailed updates, but we'll defer to you, Thomas.
Matthew, I'll let you talk about arts and then I'll hit adult.
Yeah. So, which later in the PowerPoint, I will show the numbers of the previous classes for Tai Chi, dance, and also for the art classes. But everything's going really well right now. The next Tai Chi class starts next Monday. And the dance classes started last Thursday afternoon, and all 4 classes. So she's doing all 4 classes. So I can't recall the last time all 4 classes.
It might not have ever happened.
Wow.
Great.
That's great.
Excellent.
That's good.
It's great.
It's really great.
So yeah, so later in the PowerPoint, I will show like the numbers of the past winter and spring, and also the upcoming summer, upcoming summer programs that we have.
Great.
And then adult programming, Rush Unit Adult Soccer began their spring season last week on Monday. They're running both 7-versus-7 and 11-versus-11, using every bit of allocated field space at Legacy Park that they have. And then our adult Petanque program officially kicked off their spring program on Tuesday. So they were able to get a handful of number of participants just to continue to grow the sport. And, utilizing that space in the back of Bell. So they're excited to be out there, and they'll continue to run Tuesday and Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. And registration is still open for that, for folks that are interested in coming out.
Awesome. I see the last item on the next page is summer day camp, where you got Camp Joyful Souls and summer day camp.
I think it's our next slide, Tom. Do we have some more information on our camps?
Hey.
Yeah, so here's just a little bit more information about CJS. I'll talk about it just a little bit, and I'll let Matthew talk a little bit more about day camp, but registration opened for both on February 6th. Applications began coming in immediately for Camp Joyful Souls. We have over 36 right now, both returning and new campers. We're seeing a lot of new faces from our partner Camp Happy Hearts. So as they graduate out of the Alpharetta camp, they're coming directly at us. So we're very excited to meet those families and campers. We're still in the early stages of planning, but I met with our camp manager yesterday. We have booked our buses. We're beginning to build the themes for our weeks of camp, as well as securing our field trips. And we are still taking applications for counselors and CITs, and still looking to fill the role of our lead counselor. So I know we'll talk about a little bit later on in the presentation about summer job opportunities, but they are still available for Camp Joyful Souls.
Awesome.
Did a lot of those roles get filled?
Yeah, so I actually spoke to HR today, and I have hopefully 6 to 7 offer letters going out for Camp Joyful Souls staff today or probably next week.
Good. I know you gave us the link or the
Mhm.
email.
Yes.
We sent that out through our HOA community. I just encourage everyone else, if there's still more open roles, leverage your neighborhood.
There are still openings.
Yeah.
And that link will take you to our careers page where everything Parks and Rec, any job opportunities
Great.
can be found on that page.
That's a good reminder. Thanks, Phil.
All right. Yeah, for the summer camp, it's a 7-week program, and there's the numbers for each week, which later in the PowerPoint I will show the numbers as well. There's 1 week that has over 34 kids signed up so far, and it's only March, so potentially the numbers could go even higher. We're still looking for camp staff. We got a couple resumes for the camp manager position, just trying to set up some interviews for that. And we're still looking for counselors. So far, we only got only one person that has reached out to me so far, so we're still working on that. I know next month we are planning to go to the job fair over at Milton High School and potentially over at Cambridge next month. So hopefully we can snag some counselors over there.
And I would like to add, we also attended, Matthew and I, the job fair at Innovation Academy. So we've been very fortunate to break into some of these high schools and at least get Milton Parks and Rec in front of some of these high school students' face. So very
Awesome.
fortunate to start building those partnerships and relationships.
That's great.
And just to clarify one thing, Thomas mentioned that there are 36 application approvals. That's individual kids, not registrations. So, those, I was going to try to pull the number, but there are so many different areas you can register for. It would have taken me a while to add up all the numbers, but
That's awesome.
yeah,
great.
there's a lot of weeks that are, I would assume, 2/3 full and more.
They're getting close.
Yeah, that's great. Great. Nice job.
Mm.
The next item is unfinished business. We really don't have anything to move on. Legacy Park, we'll leave it parking lotted as unfinished business unless you need something from us.
What's that?
Number 7,
Flax.
plaques.
Well, we have an update. We haven't really brought we went out to the park and kind of walked it and got some ideas, and then now we've got some examples of some different what we've seen out. Phil, thank you for sending this over. We're just taking what Mr. Cranmer sent to us, and
Yep.
we're putting it in the slideshow here.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, and I guess the initial thoughts, and I'll let the board kind of kick this around a little bit, but the idea was maybe we screen off that electrical box area, put a nice privacy fence around it or something, or a wall, and then maybe we turn that little area into a remembrance area with plaques on walls, or on this page you can see some other things. There's that bottom one where there's some little leaves on a vine. There's many different ways we can go about it, and I don't necessarily think we need to decide today. We got plenty of time, because I think this might coincide well with when we do reconfigure the parking lot, incorporating this small piece of the
Piece of it.
project into it,
Mhm.
Yep.
so that we can, it would look planned,
Yep.
rather than just another thing that's just
Right.
been thrown out there. But I did want to share with the remainder of the board that isn't part of this subcommittee, kind of where the board is at. And, I'd welcome Phil or Scott or Allison to kind of speak up as to what we were thinking when we kind of walked around the park that day.
I think you articulated it well. I think we're just in that ideation stage, right? Until we understand what we can do with the parking lot and work with the engineer, we're just sort of in a holding pattern. But I think we've got locations pretty well defined,
Right.
one, maybe two different location opportunities. And then it's just style and design, and we can get into those details once we have a pathway forward. But unless Scott, Allison, you guys have anything else to add?
No, that's it. I think the next step would be, once they're to a place, the engineer with, then pull the subcommittee back in, and we'd have to probably sit down with them.
His name
and
is Scott too.
Scott. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
That's it.
I think that would probably be,
Yeah.
the next time we come together and
Yeah.
discuss
And
that.
the last time I spoke to him, he was performing calculations on the stormwater that would be impacting the parking lot and where that stormwater can go, because the detention pond down at the bottom of Field 3 is not designed to catch the water from the parking lot as well. It's too small.
Oh.
And if that detention pond could have held the water, it was big enough, it would have been a much easier project and a much more affordable project.
Yeah.
But we're looking at storing water underneath the parking lot, because there's nowhere else to put it, because that park is completely wall to wall packed.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to put parking
Yeah.
wall to wall
Mhm.
to get as many spaces as we can. So that's why it's become a little bit more of a complex project, and it's not, it was initially supposed to be, let's repave it and just add some parking spots.
Right.
And it turned into, Tom, we got to pump the brakes here because we don't have anywhere to put this water. If we get a huge rainstorm, your pond is going to be overflowing into neighbors and
Yep.
the fields and
Oh my
everything else.
gosh.
So,
So you say store underground
what is that?
until when?
What does that look like?
Well, I got an
How is-
idea
how
what it
is
would
that
look
way?
like, but okay, so I'm like, okay, store underground and then we'll put it back up to water the turf, help it grow, or?
It naturally perks underneath. Bell Park has a similar sort of system
Parking lot.
underneath there. What I was described with this one, imagine like underneath the parking lot, big rocks where the water can flow in between them and then perk down into the earth.
I got you.
So it's stored underneath in between, and then you have like layers of 57 stone and different size riprap, and it goes up, and then it's somehow they find a way to consider that
So it goes
secure-
down, not to the pond.
right. It'll
Yeah.
just slow. It'll
Yep.
be stored in this area of
Yep.
void,
Right.
but still can
Without
hold. It
collapsing
still
the
can hold the
parking
parking lot up.
Yeah.
and then it slowly perks down in the ground,
And that'll be
like a
easy.
septic field would.
Right.
Got it.
That'll be easy to build.
Allison,
Very-
this is Tom's way, indirect way of managing your expectations
I
on
know.
timing.
I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it. I'm not liking it, but I'm hearing it.
Get
I
used to
know.
that car wash.
I know, which
Yeah.
my next question was going to be, so given the complexity of this, do we have any sort of timeline as to when this might start getting underway? No.
I'm thinking we're probably a year behind of what I was hoping,
Okay.
because I was hoping to start paving it
Right.
in like 2 months.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All
I'm
right.
thinking next
Bummer.
summer. Next summer is probably the realistic. And that's just me being nice and answering the question because I'm not sure.
Fair. Okay.
Because then you got to find out the right time to close down the parking lot.
Yeah,
Realign
which I
it
think I would. That's why I'm thinking probably next summer, because we can always move summer programs over to Bell Memorial Park
Right.
next summer.
Got it.
But if all works out the way I have it in my head, that's what we're looking at.
Okay.
Because our engineer is going to not design the entire thing. The way I understand it is we're going to go out and have a firm put
Sure.
together the plans that are biddable.
Yep.
For a contractor to come back and do
accountable,
it.
yeah.
And then,
Got
then
it.
there's funding too.
Right.
For for those of you who weren't as part of this committee, Phil and Allison and I, one of my ideas for this wall was to add a QR code to the bottom of it, so that as you saw somebody's name, there'd be a hyperlink to go to a little bio about that person, rather than just a name on the wall that 10
Great
years from now
idea.
we don't know who it is. So we have some kind of interactivity with
That's a
it.
great idea.
But that was the other thing. But we got time to finish that. Thanks, Tom. And thanks, Phil and Allison. That was a fun day in the park. Next item under new business 8C, discussion on recreation program marketing and advertising.
I'm gonna turn this one over to Matthew.
All right. So one of our main jobs here for the city of Milton is to serve the community and to just let the residents of Milton know kind of what we have going on here in the Park and Rec Department. So right here on your screen is just showing the ways that we kind of spread the word of what we're offering with the programming or events. And really what we're trying to figure out is trying to find different outlets that we could possibly use to reach out to more of the Milton community. So for example, like we use like social media. We also use emails, which is really cool about the software that we use is you're able to, if someone signs up for something, you're able to send out an email, like, so you can pick and choose. So for example, like in that, in the bottom part, it shows all the emails that have been sent out about the upcoming events and programs. Signage is also a huge thing that we have added. I spoke with a lady today who signed up for the Tai Chi class, and her daughter, I guess, was at Bell Park and saw a sign, and she sent it over to her mom, just like, hey, here's a Tai Chi class. And she's excited because like she's always wanted to do a Tai Chi class, but her daughter seeing that sign, it definitely helped out. So next thing is schools. We're starting to get more into the schools. So instead of doing let the Peach Star, we can actually have flyers or newsletters. So we're working on that. And really, we're just trying to find some more ways to kind of like to reach out to the community. So just try and get some more insight on that.
So you hit on one of them around the signage. All of this elementary schools, you can put those little pop-up signs up, right? The little, I mean, and they're all there for programs and they will stay there. I mean, I know we do it with the lacrosse side until they go. And I walk over at Summit Hill and every week there's somebody else that, whether it be a coding camp, whether it be I-9 Sports puts them up there sometimes. If you're the same ones that you have over at Bell, right? I would hit all of the elementary schools in the area with them, and middle schools like that, on that Cogburn, all that target market. Because to your point, it's amazing how many people on the lacrosse side say, we saw a sign at the elementary school, because we ask how they found out about it too.
So did you actually go to the school and kind of, did you ask for permission to do that? Or no, you just put
You just go pop it in there.
pop in there? Okay.
And it's because
$22.95.
and they don't move, you know, whatever those, you know, signs like that Joey makes is all we have, that, you know, that are $15 a piece or whatever with the stands. And we put a couple in there. And if you go through it, just because I live right next to Summit Hill and walk the dog there almost every day, there's new ones up there all the time.
There's always a bunch of crab apple too. I mean,
Yeah.
they're always out there.
And so
Yeah.
just to, I mean, that's an easy way, right, at the target demographic. And we change them out, you know, some of them don't take them down because I
Right.
live there. I take down ours and just re-put them back up when we're open.
In fact, if you have any, Crab
I'll take-
Apple has a walk to school day tomorrow morning. They do it once a month at least. And almost, I would say 95% of the school walks to school tomorrow morning. So that'd be a great thing to get out there. If you
That's
have
good
any
to
that
know.
aren't out, I would say go get them out today.
Hurry.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And Jason,
And if you have Summit Hill ones, I'll happy to take them and put them up.
and you said $15 a piece, so I'll email Joey.
I know, I was thinking.
Yeah, I think like 27,
It's
but-
really good price.
I'm not the treasurer on that
Anything lower
board.
than 30.
I'm treasurer on that board. I just do the order.
That's a good one.
But that's an easy one to get them to
Awesome.
the schools. Something you're already doing.
Matthew,
Oh, go ahead. You were going to probably say the same thing. Go ahead.
I know you, some of the events that we do, we invite some of our program partners to come out with their tents and socialize their programs. I think that we already do. You should take credit for. The other thing that might be nice too is if we have like a 1-page or 2-page handout that articulates a summary of all of our programs that we can socialize at events like that as handouts, be it the Crab Apple Festival, be it any of us that are socializing it within our communities, a nice 1-page PRAB summary of these events, and just get that out into the hands of the
Little pamphlet
citizens.
with a little-
Yeah.
So
That's something that Matthew already does.
So we started that before the Crab Apple event. On that Saturday, we kind of had like a brochure of all the upcoming programs that we had.
Yeah.
We did one this past winter and spring. And right now we have the other summer catalog that's out. But potentially, like, I would love to do something where it's every season have something, at least something out.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
So kind of in conjunction with that is the sneak a peeks at the school. They're only once a year, but they are whatever that first Thursday or Friday before school starts.
Mm.
You can get in there for free and set up a table, and if you give away some candy, kids will
That's a
come
good
over, right, and get your flyer.
Get to the kids and get to the parents.
Yeah, so the parents will come
That's it.
over, and it's a good way to build email database too, because you can have them put their email in, or sign up for more information, and hand out a flyer. Again, it's only once a year, and they all happen the same couple days.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit of coordination, but the sneak a peek days are always a good way to generate interest in information or
Yeah.
generate people.
Gotcha.
What about even just in like Bell Memorial, like having a Milton 6-foot table and Parks and Rec, and just anybody that has questions, you've got a captive audience there, right? It could just be like an information booth that you man once, one Saturday every month, sort of thing.
Volunteer?
Sure.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's like the making for another subcommittee.
exactly.
We have the bulletin board there that we do utilize. I don't know how much people go up to it and read what's on it. And then Matthew has been putting those signs out along the trails at Bell Memorial too, and they seem to get some good traction. And then, once a season, we do our little jamborees or a little
Yeah.
thing. We
Yep.
showcase the programs then. And we will have, at some point here, we have a new job posting out there for the athletics part-time assistants. And there'll be, folks at the fields that can answer questions and help people find fields if a trash can's overflowing or whatever. Someone that actually has
Troubleshoot.
staff.
Oh,
No,
awesome.
it's
Thank
very
you.
Someone that actually has staff on their
Yep.
shirt and City of
Awesome,
Milton on,
thank
not somebody wearing a yellow
Thank
vest
you.
and
Yeah.
Right.
dirty blue jeans.
I
You know
think
what I
that's a
mean?
great addition, by
And
the way. I like
and
that.
maybe part of their job on Saturdays could be putting out a table that they just put it away at night.
Yeah.
But they can just have it up with
Bring it right now.
some materials on it
Well,
This is, like,
and then
huge.
clean it up and
Yeah.
put it
Yeah.
back into the meeting room.
So
That'd be
quick.
easy. I think Jason raised a great point about capturing a question at the end around how did you find out as somebody's going through the registration process, because that creates some bridges. But I know also that most of the master plan communities are all registered with the city, so you would think that there's some way to tap the HOAs. I know I see it on the farmers market
Mhm.
occasionally now. Judy she lives in my neighborhood, so she's got a vested interest in promoting it in ours. But I would imagine that there's a way for the city and staff to communicate through the registered homeowner associations. And
And we do have we have a contact list of HOA board members. They're just old
yeah,
contacts.
yeah, it's
We
got-
get them. Some of them might not be good anymore,
correct.
but whatever we have.
But I mean, that might
Doesn't
be a
hurt to
pacing
send it.
thing, like at certain times of the year.
Yeah.
The summer's getting ready, school's getting ready to end. People, I mean, I see it in Facebook groups, where do I go for day camp?
Yeah.
Parents are asking, so
Yeah.
there's got to be a place to promote that in the community. So
I agree. I'm not discounting the idea. I think it's a fantastic idea.
it's just another database that isn't managed. I
Uh-huh.
get it.
Mm-hmm.
This is fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Well done with this. Yeah,
Yeah, it looks good.
great information.
Do you need more from us on that, Thomas? Or Matthew?
Y'all good?
Or Tom? Anybody?
That was good.
Okay. Next item D, consideration of a new Parks and Recreation community event for 2023.
I'm going to knock out two birds with one stone on this one. Our next item in staff reports is welcoming Emily Salerno. So I'm going to do that now.
Okay.
Great.
Emily is our new community outreach manager. She is over several programs, and I'm not going to say a sliver, but a part of her job is community events. The majority of what you would consider a special event in the city falls under her. Really, Crab Apple Fest is the only one that doesn't. I think everything else you have in your mind is what a special event for the city is, would be run by Emily. That is kind of the nature of the new business item, but I wanted to introduce her. She's been with us for, is it 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks?
6 weeks now.
6 weeks now. She is knocking it out the park. She's so ambitious. I don't know how many times I've emailed and be like, hey, where are we at with this? Oh, I'm already done. Sorry, I didn't copy you. Like, she moves
I'll
quick.
get better about
she
that.
moves quick.
I love it.
Keeps me on my toes. And she's been doing great work. And she's only been here 6 weeks. She's already like diving into kind of some new initiatives already, not just catching up.
Awesome.
So she's been killing it. And one of the things that she wanted to kind of bring to the board is a potential for maybe a new special community event. We kind of kicked around an idea, and I'm actually going to let you present.
Yeah,
The
I got it. Nice to meet you all. Very excited to be here. Like Tom said, I've definitely jumped in with both feet into the deep end. So it's been a really fun and information-filled past 6 weeks. So our new event that we want to do, we really want to get your input and your feedback. when I was brought on and was kind of going through our special events for the year, I realized we kind of had a hole we have a phenomenal police department, we have a phenomenal fire department. So to me, a Touch a Truck event is a no-brainer to pair with our fire department, our police department, to really pull together our resources and our efforts to highlight how phenomenal our public safety is within this community. I've also spoken with Jordan Ledwell from Stone Creek Church to use his parking lot, as well as to pair with him. He wants to get more involved with the city, he wants to have more involvement with us. So again, a no-brainer for us to work all four together. So we really want to do September 9th is kind of the date that we played around with a little bit. Speaking with Logan, can't remember her last name, Pacheco. She has two last names. One's her maiden name, one's her new name. Trying to get a hold. But speaking with her, September 1st through the 6th is National Crime Prevention Week. So if we kind of tag on to the end of it, we can kind of use our national reach to promote this event. Doing a Saturday, kind of keeping it in the morning, because sometimes September is still hot. So if we do about like 10 a.m. to 1 or 10 to 2, we want to bring in, I made a whole list, fire, PD, bring in a cop car, a motorcycle, construction vehicles, an ambulance, a monster truck if we can get our hands on it, classic cars, ice cream trucks, buses, SWAT. I don't know if they'd be available, but I'm going to try. Limo, lifts, really any sort of truck that we could bring in, I think would be a very cool event. Have some food trucks, Kona Ice, King of Pops. I kind of want to look in to see how much the Waffle House food truck is. It's 10 a.m., a little breakfast, right? And they're local, they're Georgia, so it makes sense. Bounce House Atlanta has some of the coolest inflatables you've ever seen. They have a construction excavator one that actually you can go through. They have a fire truck, they have a police car. Stone Creek also said that they would allow us to use their zip line access outside. Even more fun. Face painting, balloon artist, the whole 9 yards, get a DJ. I think it's a great way for us to highlight our public safety. We can tie in Milton first responders as well. So kind of wanted to get your feedback, any ideas, any input that you guys might have for us.
I love it. My first thought was lots of parents with young littles are still waking up early. You might want to consider maybe a little bit earlier than 10.
Do you like 9 a.m.?
Do you like
8:30?
9 a.m.?
I mean, I won't take any time.
I just know that like a lot of those touch the truck. If it's a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, they're up early. And then when sports happen, it's kind of in that 10 to a little bit later time frame. So considering if it's possible, maybe a little bit earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're wondering why Stone Creek Church, we have a good number of events that happen kind of on this crabapple side of town. And one of my initiatives is trying to spread the events out to some other sectors of the community. And we don't have as many over on the Deerfield, Highway 9 side of town. And Stone Creek's been such a great partner with us that for me, it was like a no-brainer to try to see if they would partner with us on that one. And we could do it on that side of town. And it'd be another event that we could do over there.
Do we know where Alpharetta does theirs? Because I got old memories of going
Wills
to Touch a
Park.
Truck.
Wills Park, right?
Wills
Yeah,
Park.
Do we know their timing? So we're not getting anywhere near each other?
They're usually in the summer.
I thought
I
so,
think
but
so.
Be my only question to keep.
We can do it on the
It's-
same day, you know?
Competition.
Unique. I have a very funny picture of my son and one of his best friends at 7 years old in the back of the cop car. That's a classic. Pops up every now and again. But that would be the only other thought I'd have about it. Otherwise, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Emily.
agree.
Yeah, great idea. And it's a great idea doing something over there too. I like that.
Plus, there's a fire station right there.
Our public safety complex is right there.
Yeah.
So they can just drive on over.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Love it. Great idea.
Yeah, I love that.
And welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there an advantage to doing it? One question comes to mind. Is there an advantage to doing it once school starts or before school starts? I know you got the 1 week already kind of targeted, but
I was even thinking perhaps later in the fall when it starts to cool down. It becomes like a nice outdoor fall event, but I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion one way or another. But then you were going to tie it into that campaign, that September, that
National
first.
Crime Prevention Week.
Crabapple,
Yeah.
Christmas.
Right.
Yeah, and that makes sense too.
The weekend before is Labor Day.
Yeah.
So then, everybody's getting back in town.
Mhm.
By the
And we don't
night.
hit that weird fall break
Right.
area yet.
Yep.
Yep.
Good.
Good point.
I think that's a good time going
Give
into
it a go.
9/11 too. I mean, with all the,
Yep.
I mean, that's, I think that feels like a nice, good time to do it.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There may be
Mhm.
some sort of 9/11 remembrance,
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First
Mhm.
responders makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion from us, Tom, or?
Yeah, I'd love a motion just supporting the idea.
Okay. I think it's a great idea.
I'll make a motion that staff should move forward on a touch a truck event going towards the fall.
Motion by Jason,
I will second that motion.
second by Allison. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Great idea. Welcome aboard, Emily. Glad to have you.
Thank you, guys.
Moving to 9B, the summer activity guide has just been released to us.
Literally.
We can go on to see. No, I'm sorry.
Looks-
Yeah.
It looks great.
So we did release our activity guide for summer. I like the way it turned out. We kind of have a good template. We've been kind of rolling it out. I think maybe by our next guide, we'll kind of freshen it up. But we've kind of got it down to a science now. It was such a heavy lift, the first one we did.
Mm-hmm.
And so wanted to share it with you, let you know that it came out, and let your friends know what we got going on. We don't print that many of them.
Yep.
We kind of I have a subscription that's a lot less expensive than printing, where we can do the flippable PDF on the website, and we drive folks to that. We do print out a couple hundred just to have on hand. We'll bring them to like the egg hunt,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll have a good chunk of them here for like this.
Yep.
I'll put them in front of council. We just got them yesterday, so we'll put them. We'll give them to council, and we'll hand them out to some folks here and there. But we want to drive everyone to the online version of it. It's kind of the way everyone's going with it.
Yep.
But it's nice to have a couple in hand on just hard copies in hand.
Absolutely.
But that's all. There wasn't really much to it. That's why I've kind of put in staff update just to make you aware and
Yeah, no, that's great.
and hand out a copy for you.
Excellent.
Super. Thank you. Next item is upcoming community events.
Just to give a heads up on what's coming up. So next Saturday, March 25th, we are at Cambridge High School from 4 to 6. Again, pairing with Stone Creek Church on that. We have ordered 50,000 eggs. We have inflatables. We have face painting. A lot of our program providers are coming out to that as well as some of our athletics to promote their events. We're going to have a mini touch a truck there as well. We have a police car, a fire truck, some buses. And we actually also have a 3:30 sensory friendly egg hunt that's going to be happening as well. No music, keeping everything nice and calm for whoever needs that.
What time is it?
4 to 6 p.m. and that's at Cambridge High School on their football field. Then next month, pairing with Emily Groth, we have Earth Day on Saturday, April 22nd. That is going to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Milton City Park and Preserve. They're going to have some Earth Day friendly vendors come out. Face painting as always. Just a really great way to highlight Earth Day. Then we have our Memorial Day ceremony that we do every year. That's going to be on Monday, May 29th at 10 a.m. And we've moved it this year from Freedom Park to the Green at Crab Apple Market. So right out here, working with the Milton veterans, just a really beautiful ceremony to highlight our veterans. Actually, I forgot one. The Mayor's Run, Jog for a Cause, is coming back this year. That's going to be on Saturday, June 3rd, so a bit of a warmer day than it normally is in February. Working with Gary Jenkins on that. We pair with North Point Pediatrics, and all benefits and proceeds go to pediatric cancer research. So very excited on that. And then 2 events that are coming up that are community partnerships more so. The Milton Farmers Market will be beginning on Saturday, April 22nd. We've moved it from Wednesdays to Saturdays this year. It's going to be from 8:30 to 12:30 out here on the Community Place Plaza. So that's the best way to call it. And then Milton Equestrian Committee is going to have a Meet the Neighbors event at the Freemanville Birmingham Road Green Space. That's going to be on April 15th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. A lot of horse-friendly vendors will be out.
Awesome. That's a
Awesome,
lot of
thank you.
updates.
That's great.
Right.
I left myself a note last night.
I think it was Birmingham Park Landscaping is what it said.
No,
I was trying to remember.
No, it was the cleanup day.
Oh, yes, that one.
Yes, and that's next Saturday as well.
Yes,
That's what they're shooting for.
that's what they're aiming to do, a quick
we're-
Birmingham Park cleanup day.
Every spring, it's usually already occurred. The equestrian committee puts together a cleanup day at Birmingham Park. Historically, it's been right around opening day that I remember, because last year I had to run to Bell Park before I could make it over to Birmingham because they were having some issues with the fields because it's spring and it was wet that day. And this year, at the equestrian committee the meeting last night, there was some discussion back and forth. Should we just go ahead now that it's already March? They canceled their February meeting, and that's usually, the January, February times when they plan it for March. And the committee decided to just maybe not blow it up as big as it usually is, and just see how many they can get. If they can get 8 people out there to clear some trails, it's better than going out there in the summer with snakes, or in the fall when the poison ivy and snakes are all out. So they're trying to round up some folks, and if any of y'all are available next Saturday, I don't think we have a time yet, but they're talking about early, like 7, 8 o'clock a.m. Bring a chainsaw or anything you got, some trimmers or whatever, and if you got I know the equestrian committee, most of them have Polarises and vehicles that they can side by sides that they can load up equipment and haul it out. But I went last year. It's fun. It's fun. You walk a trail. It's not extremely strenuous work, really, when you have power in numbers. But I told MEC, why not reach out to the Parks and Rec board? They're all working in a park.
Yep.
And I plan on being there around whatever soccer schedule I have with my kids. So as we get more, I'll send it out to the group. I think there's going to be a phone call this afternoon, kind of finalizing everything. And once we know more, myself or Emily can send something out to PRAB.
That'd be awesome.
Please do. And this is next Saturday, the 25th?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what they're looking at.
Okay.
So you can clear out Birmingham Park and then head to the icon. It's a full day of activities.
Full day in
Oh
the
my
park.
gosh. Okay, I love it.
Yeah, send it over.
No time for lacrosse.
If y'all
outside.
are looking for additional volunteers we could put it out to our Milton NCL chapter as well.
Perfect.
It's a full family thing. It's, we've had kids out there and
Yeah.
they just do different things, It could be
Awesome.
just moving little sticks out of the way or lining
Yeah.
the trail with sticks rather than, chopping up logs. And that's fine.
Glad to help. Next item, D. Oh, we already touched on open positions, but
Yeah,
Is
I
there
don't have
anything else to
anything,
add?
nothing else to add. Just want to reiterate
Okay.
that we have open positions for both of our summer camps, as well as the athletic assistant to work in some of Milton's parks and facilities.
perfect. Thanks, Thomas. Item E, been reading about this in the paper. Tom, tell us about.
Yeah, I
I'm
can
actually going to let Thomas.
Oh,
Thomas
Thomas.
ran with this whole thing.
It's awesome.
I'll touch on this.
He deserves the credit.
Yes, I guess this is our first rollout for this ever for this spring as a CPR, AED, and choking training for our coaches and volunteers that work within our programs. Over the course of 2 sessions on the 21st and one on the 25th, we had close to 50 total folks come out from our programs to participate in this training, which was spearheaded and led by Derek Hoffman, a firefighter and paramedic, who is also our CARES coordinator with the fire department. It was a quick hour-long class with a PowerPoint presentation and also some hands-on CPR and AED training. Everybody that showed up signed in and received a certificate that will be valid for 2 years with our programming. It's more about just educating our folks rather than at this point keeping track and tallies on everyone and making sure everyone's there. It's just, especially with the way 2023 has gone with, I'm sure everyone's seen the professional sports and what's happened there. Just trying to just educate our folks and really get the knowledge out there to make sure we keep our kids and patrons safe at the park. So it'll be something that will be continuous. I've been encouraged to throw out a third session for this spring for our folks that couldn't make our two earlier this month. We're looking at possibly a Sunday to see if we can grab in some of those folks that couldn't join us. But like I said, it will be something that we will do continuous, probably before our fall season rolls out and football gears up, and some of our non-spring sports will offer a couple again, and couldn't have better support from the fire department. So they're, obviously willing to lend us a hand, and when we can all coordinate, and it'll be something we can continue to strive for here in the city.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Great work.
It happened to work out where this was in the works prior to the DeMar Hamlin. And we were working on how are we going to do this? What's this program going to look like? We already met with the fire department. And then it happened, and it was like, okay, there's no way that the coaches aren't going to buy into this right now. It was like the perfect time to roll it out and do the education on it. And every program was like 100% supportive. We're sending it out to our guys right now and gals. And the idea is the more folks that are out at the park that are CPR certified, whether it's every coach or not, if we've now got 50 more people
Right.
that step foot in the park for 3 hours a week that are now certified in that. So if there is something that occurs, our odds of saving that person are better.
Right. That's awesome.
And they now are educated where all the AEDs are. That's part of the training, how to use them. And so, it's a way to keep all of our residents safer. And there was talk from the fire department about entering those folks that have completed this class into some sort of digital system that can, I don't know if that ended up happening or not, where if there is an event that happens and 911 is called or whatever, anybody that is on that list and certified gets a notification like someone near you is having a cardiac arrest.
Interesting.
And it's almost like a emergency alert system.
Hey, Jim.
But it's for instances like that, and it GPSs your phone to wherever that person is, wherever that phone call came in, and it might get someone to that person quicker to start administering CPR if no one in the area is qualified.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's cool.
So it's just a way to make our city safer.
That's awesome.
And, it's not just about the kids and the coaches, but anybody that we have had someone at the park in past who wasn't a player or a coach, but it was maybe another parent or a grandparent, and it's for everybody.
There was an article in last week's paper in Roswell that mentioned they keep their AEDs in the women's restrooms in their parks. I thought that was interesting.
You know what else is interesting? I found out last week. I know the person that incident was. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was it.
I knew the guy.
But no, that's a great.
It was in Roswell, but it was a Milton resident, correct?
Don't know if
I think
he
that might
lived-
have been the case. I think you're
I
right.
don't know if he lives in Milton or not.
No, that's awesome. And I'm glad the programs are jumping on board on that. That's awesome activity. So thanks.
But yeah, I failed to mention it was at the Milton Community Center house, fit us very nicely in there. And I anticipate that's what we'll continue to do it at.
That's great. Last item under staff reports, park and facility improvement update.
And we'll get Mr. Chairman right on time. Here we go. All right. First is a resurfacing of the Broadwell Pavilion floor. The concrete on the floor had been a nuisance to keep clean. It wasn't just renters that were putting stuff on the floor. People just show up, eat lunch. Their mustard and mayonnaise sandwich flips over right on the concrete. All they do is pick up the bread, throw it away, and leave everything else. Cupcakes were notorious for getting all over the ground. And I was tired of the pressure washing, and even the pressure washing wasn't doing that great. It just didn't look that great. I have that epoxy floor in my garage at home. My wife insisted on it, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
And so I budgeted for it this year, and the flooring is now done. I guess these are all before pictures. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, that looks great.
That was a picture of the facility when it was complete. It looks really nice.
Yep.
And now if something gets spilled, you can hose it off. You don't even need to bring a pressure washer.
Perfect.
That's great.
Awesome.
So it'll increase the durability. Those picnic tables are not going to scratch it. And it has a non-slip surface on it that they added. It was like an added feature. So it's pretty gritty. It's less slippery than the concrete was.
That's cool.
So not only is it going to be durable, but it's going to be safe.
Love it.
Next, I'll present it, but I'm going to give Matthew his credit. Matthew hung most of those sound panels in the Milton City Park and Preserve.
Genius.
It's a very echoey.
Yes.
There's no curtains, no carpet, no rugs, no nothing. And sitting in there, it's just like hearing yourself over and over and over. So we got some sound panels up there. They made a tremendous improvement. So we're going to continue.
That's great.
I didn't want to do the whole building until I knew it was going to work well. So it did. So we're going to
Great.
move on and we're going to hit the rest of the rooms. And that's a picture of the Providence Park restroom. If you hadn't been there yet, just wanted to share. It's
Awesome.
It is done. And there it is in person. I don't think I've shared a picture with y'all yet.
Beautiful.
The score stands at Bell Memorial Park are rusty and gross. That's also in the budget. We actually came in under budget. We found no more vendor that ended up being a little less expensive. They're going to sand them down, repaint them. That work is still slated for Monday.
Oh, nice.
So they're going to start on Monday. They didn't tell you how long it would take, did they? I would imagine it'd take at least a week. It's a pretty big job to sand it all down unless they got a lot of guys. We did some additional fencing out at Legacy Park to keep folks out of that detention pond area there and to keep the kids from cutting down that very, very steep slope. Doesn't mean they can't jump over it, but it's a natural deterrent now. We also did, while we're here, this wasn't really part of my plan, but we also regraded the parking lot a little bit to keep the water from flowing onto Field 2. So now the water flows down to that pond from just partial way down. The rest of it still gets caught by other drains. And here are the slides on the participation for
The other business.
Oh, okay. Other business. All right. What do we got? Any other questions on staff updates?
None.
Really quickly though, on park improvements, I know I had sent this to you, and it might be worth looking into. I don't know what kind of cost would be associated with it, but when you're pulling out of Bell at night, that drive out is dark, right? It's not lit.
Oh.
And those little solar lights, if they would add those to the fencing on either side, it really is awesome. Like you can see it back here in our neighborhood. We have them on that little fence right around the corner up here. It would be a great addition. It would just look really nice driving out, and it would add a little bit of light for anybody who's walking. So it might be worth looking into.
At least if it's not an arm and a leg and seems reasonable, I can budget for it.
Right. I
October.
can't imagine. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine it would be a huge number, but that's it.
Anything else in other business?
Other business? Do we want to go over these numbers real quick, or do we want to? Or we can share it with them too.
Yeah, so pretty much what we did is we just went over all the information of the metrics of the numbers and everything. So it just shows residents, also like that, the Alpha Red residents as well too, and non-residents. So it just shows all the numbers of the past programs, and then the ones also for this upcoming summer as well too.
And we'll share this out with the group.
Okay. Awesome.
Awesome. Looks good.
And also as well too, here's the couple of the pictures of dance class, art class, and also for Tai Chi but in the past couple months as well too.
Very cool.
And also we have a couple of new programs and events. We have a slow down with a sloth, with the actual sloth, on May 13th. It'll be done by one of our program providers, which is Love Go Go. They're going to bring a live sloth, and they're going to do some yoga and some other things as well too. The other flyer is for the new stretch class, which is set to begin in April. My plan is once we go in front of council, we'll start doing the marking, yeah, for this class. So those are the upcoming events that we have going on.
Awesome. Thanks, Matthew. Any other business for the Parks and Rec Board today? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion
PRAB
by-
meeting.
Motion by Phil,
I will second that.
second by Allison. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thanks so much.
Thanks. That's a good meeting. Lots of good stuff here.
See you,
Phil. See you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Bye.